Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. We are so excited to be here with you guys today. This is going to be a great show. We're going to be talking to Dr. Linda Chin today, who is an author of quite a few books, and she is about to publish a new one. For those of you who don't know, who are watching the show for the first time, this is the BookPreneur show where we talk all things self-publishing and authorship. So if you got a story to tell, we want to hear your story right here on the BookPreneur. Dr. Chin is, she's a podcaster, she's a ministry, she's a woman of the cloth. She is a phenomenal woman who inspires people at least twice a month on her podcast. I know she does it all throughout the month, but she does it twice a month. But today we talking books. We talk a lot about spirituality, we talk a lot about faith in God, but today we're talking about books. So
Yeah.
Dr. Chin, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, my sister and my friend. I appreciate the invitation. Don't take it
You're,
lightly. Don't.
you're very welcome. So I know for me, I've been publishing since 1998. And yes, I am truly dating myself. That was the first time I ever co-authored a book with some friends. And the landscape has changed so much since that time. How long have you been publishing? How long have you been an author?
Probably about the last 5 years, the last 5 or 6 years. Yeah.
Okay. So when you started, because we started out self-publishing, we tried to get a book deal for this little book we had. And it's so funny because I like to show the book, and I got to tell you a quick story about this book. So this is the book. It's called A Cookbook to Romance. This book is 20. We did it in 1998. So it's called A Cookbook to Romance. My friend Georgette shot the cover in her house,
Really?
right? And Dr. Chen, it's funny because everybody went with, like, we were big church goers, like no I was a big church goer, and Adele was a big church goer. On the book, none of us used our names because we were big church goers, and we didn't want we didn't want our pastor to look at us funny. So on the book, my name is Dominique Pierre, which is my daughter's first name. Adele name is Amanda Rochelle, and Georgia name is Nikki Jordan. And so we wouldn't use our real names on the book. So when the book came out, Adele took it to the pastor, and he said, "You could have put your real name on the book. We got married folks up in this congregation. They need to see this book." It was hilarious, and it wasn't nothing raunchy, but we were thinking like, can't take this to the church.
Yes,
So we
you
didn't. But that was funny because that was my first foray into self-publishing. Now, are you a self-publisher or do you have a publisher?
So I self-published the first two books. This one, I have a publisher. I've engaged a
Okay.
publisher. So the first one I self-published and I edited, sent it to a few people. Second one self-published and someone else edited. This one I'm getting a publisher and an editor.
So what made you decide to jump ship on self-publishing? Because I know for me, we started out looking for a publisher and not knowing that you had to kind of pitch an agent first so the agent can pick the book. We thought we could just say we got this idea for a book and that was it. That wasn't the case. And at that time, it was only one book on the market that we could find. It was by a guy named Dan Pointer who had written this little book. It was about the size of this book. It was green and it was called How to Self-Publish. So we took his book, bought his book, and we read the book and we self-published his book. What made you decide to stop self-publishing and go with the agent because with the publisher? Because I know a lot of people right now they're like, I don't need a publisher.
Two several things. One, that's not what I do. I write.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the creative person. Now, do have a friend that used to say I used to edit the letters that she used to send me. So I can edit. In fact, English was my major in college. So I
Okay.
can edit. But it's difficult to edit your own work because you've seen it, you've touched it, you've smelled it, you've touched it so many times, you don't
Yeah.
see your own errors. And the other reason is I have other things to do. I've done my part, and I need to let someone else be blessed, let them earn some money, let them operate in their gift, and there's a better chance of them catching errors that I didn't catch. That's the editing part. The publishing part, that's not my wheelhouse. I can learn, but is that what I'm called to do? Is that the best use of my time? Is that the best use of my money? I could save money, but if I'm using that time to do that, I'm not really saving money. Understand what I'm saying? Because money is time.
Absolutely. Money is time. Now, see that. Now, listen, guys. I want you to pay attention to what she just said because we can do it all. That doesn't necessarily mean we need to do it all because that's normally that's normally what happens. Especially when you're an entrepreneur, you can do everything and you try to do everything. And like you said, time is money, and that may not be the best use of your time. I was talking to somebody the other day, Dr. Chen, and they were saying something about did not wanting to pay. Right? I said, well, you're paying for that person's expertise, and you're paying to skip the line. That's what you're paying for. So you're
Mm-hmm.
looking at this in an hourly profession, but you got to think that person has put in probably thousands of hours. They're going
Mm-hmm.
to save you thousands of hours, and you don't want to
Mm-hmm.
pay them. So
Yeah.
you're going to suffer. And it was a crazy conversation, but it's a conversation that needed to be had. But there are a lot of people who think like that. Now,
Yeah.
for me, because I've been doing it so long, I feel like I'm doing full circle. So for me, it's like breathing. It's like doing this podcast. Like, you know what I mean? And so this is my
Yes.
wheelhouse. Anything, anything in this space is my wheelhouse. And I do
Yeah.
like this. I can do it with my eyes closed. So I totally understand what you're talking about. But let's talk about your self-publishing experience. When you first did your first book, what was that experience like? And what made you decide to self-publish versus go with a traditional publisher in the beginning?
It was grueling. It was grueling. It was grueling. Thank God I had someone helping me who knew way more about technology and how to work Word and all of that. And as an executive assistant, I knew how to work, right, the Microsoft products and all of that. But my mind got overwhelmed. And I want to start off and I want to say this. It took me 7 years to write the book. I had taught the material for 8 years. I taught it. I knew the material backward and forward. And so I think I was just kind of tired of it, right? I was just tired of it, but I knew I was supposed to write it as a book. So it was a grueling experience for me because the person I had helped me, they would see this and then okay, we'll do this and do that and fix this. And I'm like, I'm over this. It's like if you've ever had some food left over and you heat it up the second day is good. Then the third day you heating it up again and you heating it up again and heating it up again to keep from wasting it. And I kept heating it up and I kept looking at it. And it got to the point where I was sick of it. I was just tired of it. And
Mm-hmm.
I think the operative word for me that made me know I need to do something different was self. It was self. And
Mm-hmm.
when you involve yourself, I'm like, first of all, I am a perfectionist a lot of times. I like things a certain way. Um, but the process was grueling. I didn't want to endure the process, Audrey.
Yeah. I understand. That's how I feel about events. As many as events as we have, you would think I did not feel that way. I totally feel like I'm just not an event planner. I just need to show up. Tell me what time to be there, and I
Yeah.
just want to be there. But I'm always doing events because of the chamber. But I feel that events for me is very painful. It's too many tiny little details that
Mhm.
drive me bananas. When my daughter had her sweet 16, I hired somebody. Please, just take. I just want to walk in the door. And that's exactly what, when I tell you beautiful, all we had to do was walk in the door. Same thing with anything I do with the chamber. People say, why do you do stuff at the 1818 club? Because all I had to do most of the time was walk through the door with my flats on and change my shoes when it's
Yeah.
time for me to get up in front of the people and talk. So I
Yes.
totally understand that. But you did two books. You self-published two books. So your first experience was grueling. By the second book, had you learned a little bit better to make the process a lot more smoother?
I did. And I think I want to make sure that I'm understanding clearly. Self publishing means I still had to hire a designer to create the cover, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't
Mm-hmm.
create the cover. So I was going back and forth with that process. By the second time, I knew about the size, what kind of size you want to print it in.
Yeah.
I decided did I want my face on the cover? Did I not want it on the cover? Because I don't ever want anybody to think certain things about God or about me. And it became a little easier. I knew the process a little better so I could answer questions a little bit quickly, but I still did not want my hand in all of the process. I had other things I wanted to do and I
Mm-hmm.
needed to release. So the editor, praise God, found a bunch of stuff that I didn't find. I mean, I read it several times But she's a professional editor. That's what she does. And she also happened to be somebody I'd known for years and years. So I knew I could trust her with the process. I knew I could trust her with the material and not to leak anything or steal anything. So it became a little easier, but I still knew I just wanted to do the writing and approve of the cover, back, and front. That's all I wanted to do.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. So, even though you learn something, there's a lot of things that we all learn. We're not supposed to do them all, and I had to learn that myself. This is self-publishing is when you decide I want to write this book, so I'm gonna write the book. You don't necessarily have to do the covers, but where we are today, you got Canva and all this
Yeah.
AI stuff. You can do anything you want to do, like
Yeah.
pretty much today. But that doesn't necessarily mean you have to do that. And if you don't want to have hands, there's a young lady in Mississippi. She's been calling me about writing. She wrote a book, and she wanted me to help her publish a book. And I said to her, "Listen, at the end of the day, I can get you published, right? But it goes far beyond that. Like
Mhm.
you're gonna put in so much time because you're starting from zero, and then once the book is actually published on Amazon, that's when the real work begins.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like I can get you on Amazon. That's a piece of cake. The
Mhm.
real work well, let me say this: it's a piece of cake for me. The real work begins after the book is on Amazon. Because now what? People think that once they get the book on Amazon, that's the end of it. Okay, it's on Amazon, and now
Mhm.
what? Well,
Right.
now you got to do the real work. So that being said, how did you go about letting people know about the books that you had written, like your first two books? Did you do book signings? Did you take it to the ministry? How did you do that? And what was the support
Well,
like?
let me tell you something. That was a whole nother thing. The first one I did a book signing and I planned it out properly. The second book signing was a failure. I kept waiting and procrastinating, and people helped sponsor, but not many people showed up to the book
Hmm.
signing. Not many people showed up at all. And so that was another part of the process where I didn't want to have to do it. So I had to rent the space, right? Then I had to order the hors d'oeuvres, and then I had to tell them how many people did I expect, how many people were responding. That's the part that I really didn't want to do, like you with your daughter's sweet 16 birthday party. Um, and so I hope I'm answering your question.
You are.
So there's much more to
Yeah.
self-publishing than people realize. There are so many moving parts. And you, Audrey, you have a gift. You're like a left brain, right brain woman. And I really
I am.
only know two other people like that really in my life. And so that's why it's easy for you. For me, um, I had to compartmentalize what I'm really, really good at, and I found out that what I really didn't want to do, I didn't do it so well because I didn't want
Yeah.
to, because I didn't want to do it.
Yeah. Dr. Chen, it's funny you say that about me because I didn't realize I was like that. I thought I was always right brain, right? But people around me started to say, "You so anal." I'm like, "Me? Anal?" Like I couldn't even accept that until I had to actually step back for a second and take a look at myself. And I am a solution oriented kind of person. So when you
Yes.
bring a problem to me, it's like, okay, let's figure this out. Like we can't spend a whole lot of time talking about it. Let's figure it out. I didn't
Yes.
even know that about myself. I always thought I was right brain. I give you a prime example. Two examples I want to give you. You talked about an editor. An editor is really important, y'all. What most people don't know about me is I'm a little bit impulsive and I'm a little bit impatient, right? I would put out a product just as messy and like I'm putting it out there. And we send it back and we'll fix it as we it's like the old saying, grow your wings on the way down. That's kind of like me, right?
Mm.
So there is Mark Victor Hansen who wrote Chicken. He was a co-author of Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote this book called the 1 Minute Millionaire.
Yeah.
And I had a radio show at the time, and he was on my show 3 times, Dr. Chen. And he lived in California, so my show came on at 7:30 on Saturday morning. He did my show 3 times. So on the
Wow.
third, and he sent me a box of books to give away to anybody. So I'm giving all my friends this book, but the book was written left brain, right brain. That's how it was written. So you can read the right side or the left side. So the left side
Wow.
was a very analytical side, and then the right
Wow.
side was a very creative side. So if you ever get a chance, maybe I think I got a copy somewhere. I'll bring you a copy. That book was so intriguing. But when I started to read it, I definitely like reading the right brain side. Like I love that
Mm,
side. That was a storytelling side, right? Told all these stories. Same thing on the left side, just very analytical. And I was like,
mm-hmm.
okay, I get it. I didn't know that about myself. Someone pointed that out to me, and then other people started to point it out. But in that book, there were errors. And I know that they had the money to hire an editor. So I shared that to say this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how many editors you have, there will always be an error in your book, always. Because at the end of the
Yes.
day, that is a human being who is editing that book. And somebody could walk in the room and say something right in the middle of the paragraph they're editing. They can start talking to them and go back and forget where they were and miss the error. So it's always going to happen.
Yeah.
Now, should you put out the
Yeah.
best work possible? Absolutely. Your girl, she's kind of like that, kind of sort of. But I will put it out there and go back and fix it later. As a matter of fact,
Mm-hmm.
my newest book, Dr. Chen, I did the book right, and then I'm reading the book after that, right, and I'm like, this part just don't make sense. 2 pages in the book, I was like, these 2 pages don't make sense. But the book is already on Amazon, and
Yeah. I hear
I'm like,
you.
these they don't make sense. So I had to go and take the book down, fix the 2 pages, and put the book back up. Now, what I did tell people was, if you were one of the first buyers of that book, that's a collectible. So hold on to it. And when you see me, let me
I
sign it,
love
because that's an
it. I
error,
love
and it's not that many of them out there. So you have
it.
a
I love
very rarity because it's an error. So um, the process of doing book signings can be great. They could be a great
it.
way for you to invite people out for the first time who've never met you. We did a book signing last year. It was a group of us. It was 6 of us who had written books. Went to an event planner. I told you I hate events. Went to an event planner. Hey, want to do a book signing? What you want? Just want to do a book signing. What's your theme? I ain't got no thing. The colors are orange and green. Okay, that was me. When I tell you she did a phenomenal job, I'm talking about
Mm,
beautiful.
mm, mm, mm,
And
mm,
we walked in there, me and all the authors. It was
mm,
so beautiful.
mm.
But and we sold a lot of books that night. And people
Wow.
just was buying because the atmosphere was beautiful, the place was beautiful. So that's really important. That's really important. So when you let's talk about this, because this is plenty. When you wrote the first book, and maybe it's not, maybe this didn't happen to you, but it's happened to a lot of people. When you wrote the first book and you reached out to people, say, hey, I wrote this book
Mm-hmm.
and I would love your support.
Mm-hmm.
How did that go?
That went way better than I thought
Okay.
because it when I started getting the cost of what it was going to cost to print and how many I wanted to print, and I'm saying, God, I don't have this money. So I reached out to people and asked them for $100 donation. And I promised them this was before even, all of the printing and all of that. And
Yeah.
they believed in me and they sent me the money. And I said, you'll get a book. I'll sign it for you. And I did what I said I was going to do. And I got the stamps. I got the, what do you call it? Return receipt. I got all of that. I sent them the number. This is your tracking number and all of that. That went absolutely wonderful. Didn't go that way with the second book because I said, I can't go back to these people and ask them for money again.
Yeah. Yeah.
First book was fine. I had the support. I had the sales. My family told friends who told friends who told friends. Second book, okay, well, she'd been there, we've been there, done that with her. But that first time, that worked very well for me. The support
Yeah.
was phenomenal and overwhelming.
And that's a good thing, because let me tell you guys something. Sometimes that doesn't work out so well. And I'm here to tell you it does not. You will find that people will challenge the fact that who are you? Who do you think you are to write a book?
Yeah,
You know, who do you what should why should we read your story? Why should we support what you're doing? You're gonna get that. So please, by all means, don't let that stop you. Keep going. Has never stopped me. I think I'm on book number 11. Has never stopped me.
I
So
love it.
don't let it stop you, because you won't get the support. You won't even get the support a lot of times in your entrepreneur endeavors. You're gonna get people who will try to stop you. For me, I started as an author first before I became a business person. That's where I started at, as a
Mm,
co-author. And I didn't get that kind of support. I had my group of friends that we co-authored together. The first time we did a book signing, I think we did it in Martha's Vineyard. Have you been to Martha's Vineyard before?
I have years, decades ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Martha's Vineyard is beautiful, guys. We stayed at Twin Oaks. And as a matter of fact, we were there the day that John plane went down, him and his wife. We were there that we got there that Friday. And that Saturday morning when we woke up, because our book signing was at Twin Oaks. When we got up that Saturday morning, everybody was kind of like real quiet, kind of gathered around the TV. And we were like, what happened? They said the plane had went down. It went down 2 miles from where we were staying. Twin Oaks was right on that strip. And
Mm,
Twin Oaks was the only black bed and breakfast on Martha's Vineyard at the time. It was
mm.
owned by a woman named Doris, and President Clinton. Everybody had stayed there before, and
Wow.
we were there. But it was a good experience, but it was also kind of sad because of what was going on. They were really preoccupied with trying to figure out what was happening. Did they make it? Did
Hmm.
they not? They didn't make it. So that was my first. I think that was the first book signing we did on the vineyard, which was really
Wow.
nice. Yeah, really nice. Um, Moving forward, now you have a publisher. Talk about that process and what is the expectation, because I've heard a lot of authors who say I have a publisher and my publisher expecting me to come up with the marketing plan. Even though they're publishing, they're expecting me to do a lot of the footwork to sell the books. What's your process? What has your process been like with your publisher now moving forward on your third book?
So the process is holding me very much accountable. Like this person
Mm-hmm.
is not playing with me, right? We're going to do
Mm-hmm.
this. We're going to do this, and this. And so they have set up meetings and times, and you know, and it's wonderful because their background is they're a professional communicator. It's what they do, and so I'm almost to a point where when like when I was a child and I knew I had to have my homework done by a certain time or there was going to be a problem. So that's
Yeah.
what it's like for me. It's good for me. It's stretching me. It's I'm looking at this time. I'm like, you know what? I've got to turn this over to her in less than a week, and I haven't written anything in it in 3 days. I've got to get and do what I need to do. It holds you accountable to the project. It holds you accountable to the process, and it holds
Yeah.
you accountable to yourself. Because I found that if you do everything yourself, who are you accountable to?
Yeah.
You're really so you can make any excuse, any reason. Well, I don't feel like writing today. Today, I just feel like binging on TV. I don't feel like you're not
Yeah.
accountable for anything. And if as a writer, if it's good enough to write, it's good enough to publish, then I ought to put everything I have into it. I
Yeah.
expect people to buy the book. I expect people to write the book. That's my expectation. And so I listen, my office is full of books that I have read. So I expect a good product. So I need to be held accountable to
Yeah.
do the work and to do my very best. But it's not easy. It's a little intimidating. Um, and but it's okay. I won't die. In the end, I believe I'll put out a better product this third time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a process. And I think about when like right now, I've always published just on Amazon. Like I've never really published outside of Amazon with this book because I have such big plans for it. And it's the first book in a 8 book series. It's on audio. I just got an email today saying it's been published on audio. It's
Mhm.
on all these platforms. Like I have been like just like what you said, like I have such big plans for this book. So I have been head down doing all these things that I have never done before. And one of the platforms that I try to get on, I was telling one of my other clients she called me about her third book. I think this is her fourth book. And I was like, look, that platform is whooping my tail. And nothing really beats me in tech very often. That is whooping me.
Mm.
And she was like, "Oh my God, if it's whooping you," I was like, "Yeah, that one is spanking me right now." But I want this to happen so bad because
Mhm.
I feel like the messaging is so good. it's about bringing people together. It's a little weird, but it's about the premise of it is to bring people together and to get them to think and to work together and be unified. So I'm doing everything. I got plans for it to become the first book to become a movie, the first movie in the franchise. So I've been doing every single thing. And do I want to just lay down and binge like on TV? Yes, and
Yeah.
you will.
Yeah.
But what I want for this book, I want more than binging on TV. So I put a lot of work into it to the point where I think I told you this on Monday. I got in the bed around 9:30, drained because I had been sitting in my computer all day. Realized I needed to do one last thing, got out the bed. I was like, where you going? I forgot something. Came back to the computer, sat down for another 30 minutes, and I was like, I gotta get this out of my head. I gotta get it done like right now. But it was something
Yeah.
that I had to do. Um, with this book, your third book, what is it about?
It's a faith-based book, but and it's called "The Peculiar Shall Substantiate My Glory," and this is the thing: it's faith-based, but I see this book in the hands of leaders who will
Mm,
finally get and understand that, as this is my personal opinion, but this is what the book is about. We have to stop playing around and stop looking like the world, sounding like the world, and lifting and raising our hands and shouting hallelujah. When are we going to show and substantiate the glory of God so that people know he's real, so that people know
mm,
he does exist? Right. And it's in
mm,
our living. And it's about substance is something you can touch. To
mhm.
substantiate is something people can see and taste and feel and smell. And so, what does that look like? And I'm going to tell you the reason I wrote it, I'm writing it, is because I woke up oftentimes, like God will talk to me in between sleep and waking up. And I
Mhm.
heard the very words, the peculiar shall show forth my glory. And I'm like, well, I don't talk like that. That's not even something I would say. And so I know
Mhm.
it didn't come from darkness, right? Evil. I didn't come up with, I'm like, God, this must be you. So I'll get it out and I'll do it. But I also know it's not going to be a deep, heavy read, a thick book. Very, very simple.
Yeah.
People want simple. People's attention spans are not as long as they used to be, but it is
Yep.
about living a life. So this can be a faith-based person can read it and someone who's not, just like my last one. All I'm saying is this. If you believe in something, you ascribe to something, there ought to be some substance. There ought to be
Yeah.
something about you where people can taste it, feel it, smell it, hear it, see it. You feel
Yeah.
me?
Yeah. Yeah. Like listen, you guys are watching this. If you're watching this right now on Amazon, you're watching it on YouTube and LinkedIn, there is something you can find to say, well, where do you do podcasting? Dr. Chen write books. Speaking of writing books, in the carousel on Amazon, in the carousel, her book is there. So you think you want to be anointed? Check out that book. That's one of her books. The next book will be on Amazon pretty soon, so be sure. But in the meantime, to get a taste of who she is, the book is in the carousel. So you want to be anointed. So you think you want to be anointed? Check out the book. So you want to be anointed.
Mhm.
That's what made you write that book? Because that's a funny book. Like I thought the anointment was like people that was just anointed. There's people that just want. I want to be anointed. Is that a choice?
It's not a choice. It's not a
Okay.
choice, and you can't buy it, but you pay for it. And
Mm,
sometimes people want someone else's anointing. The anointing is literally the power of God
mm,
operating through you to do what he's called you to do. And many people don't realize that you can be anointed to play football. You can be anointed to braid hair. There's a power because there's a space for everybody on this planet to do what you do to reach somebody. Period. To reach somebody. And so you need a certain something in order to reach somebody, right? If I like sweets, how you going to reach me if you don't have a good pound cake? You can't reach me. And so it's the gifting and the power of God for you to do what you do. And so when you talk about it, just briefly, there are 5 ingredients in the oil that God gave Moses, and each ingredient is processed a different way to make one thing. Flour in your cake was processed. It came from wheat, but it was processed. The egg in the cake came from the hen. Somebody had to go get it, wash it. It was processed, right? The cinnamon It was processed. It came off the bark of a tree. It was rolled up. It had to be dry. So it just talks about the process of becoming the thing that will give you the power.
Mm. Mm-hmm. That process. It's a process. So the book is, listen, thank you. Someone is purchasing books over here, Dr. Chen. I'm looking at
Thank
Amazon.
you,
Thank you for
Jesus.
those who are
Thank
purchasing books.
you.
We appreciate your love and support. We got work to do, and she and I talk about this at least twice a month, the work that we have to do. And we're both putting out books that's going to empower, uplift, and help people like move forward in their lives and build strong communities and build strong family ships and things like that. So thank you for those who are purchasing the books right now. It's so funny
Thank
because I can
you.
see. So someone asked me, like, I did a show a couple of weeks ago, and I can see when people purchase the book, but I can't tell you which books they purchased from us. I know they purchased one of ours because the little dollar sign lights up on my phone. On
Okay.
my phone, Amazon doesn't tell you that. Thank you, Amazon.
Right.
Amazon
Right.
just shows that books are being sold. I don't know who's buying it. I don't know
Right.
what they're buying, which book they're buying. I just know that they're
Right.
buying books because I can see it. So thank you on Amazon for purchasing our books. Um, Dr. Chen, do you have a plan for any books after book number 3?
I do. A children's book. Uh,
Mm,
yeah, a children's book. I teach a children's Bible study, and people would think, by talking to me and having these conversations we have, that I'm probably some religious nut. But listen, I like old school music. I like house music. I dance. I laugh. I have a good time. I love to dance. Like I barbecue, but I'm going to do what I'm put on this earth to do. So the next book is a children's book just to help them understand that they can read the Bible with understanding as well. Very
mm,
simple. Because one of the parents of the students that's in my children's Bible study class said to me, I'm glad I have you because I know I'm not going to teach you how to read the Bible. I'm not, that's what they said. And this person is a
yeah,
saved person, love God, praying God. But they said, I'm not going to do that with my kids. So I'm glad I have you. Just do what you're supposed to do.
yep,
You're
yep,
called, you're anointed to do what you pay for it. Like Audrey, I know you paid for the giftings that you had. I know you
yep,
paid for it.
yeah, yeah. I have, but I call myself blessed that I can and God has given me this gift to like learn stuff like instantly, like that, right? I remember
Yeah.
when my mom was alive, I asked her one time because I was in a coaching program. And they said, ask people like what they like about you, or something like that, right? Or what they find special about you. My mother said to me, the way you think. And I
Ooh.
said, she said,
Ooh.
yeah, I love the way you think. I'm never gonna forget that. It chokes me up every time I think about it. But that's when
It
she said
was.
she liked it. She said, I love the way you think
Oh
about things.
my.
I didn't even honestly, we never had those type of conversations. Like she knew that I was an entrepreneur. She knew that I loved this, and she used to put all these emphasis on the word entrepreneur. That's what she used to say, right? But she said, "I love the way you think," and I said, "Wow, well, thank you. That was a gift. I've been like that my entire life.
It's
Like
an
when I graduated,
anointing.
my entire life. When I came out of when I was going into high school, I had a scholarship to go to a private high school. I had two options, Delaware or California. And my mother's like, yeah, you're not going to either one of those. I'm like, yeah, but it's a private high school. She's like, nope, you're not going away from home. I don't know these girls. I don't know this stuff. I had a scholarship to go to a private high school.
Mm,
And my
mm, mm.
dad lived in California at the time. And I said to him, listen, I got this scholarship to go to a private high school. He's like, whatever your mother say. And she said no. It's like, you're not going away from home at 14 years old. That's not happening. And I said,
Yeah.
okay. But I've been like that my entire life. And I call myself blessed to be able to share like the things that I've learned with people. Does it hurt
Mhm,
sometimes when things don't work out the way I think they should?
mhm,
Yeah, it does. But I have to remind myself that that's a part of what we that's a part of the charge. Like it's
mhm,
not gonna always feel good. It's a
mhm.
part of the charge. So
Mhm.
I am happy that I can, help you and help others
I
who
love
really
it.
want to help, who really desire to make a change and to be a change. So it excites me to do that. So that's why I never mind talking to you and quite a few others that I talk to on a very regular basis because and what's interesting, Dr. Chen?
What?
God has sent me a group of women around the same age in ministry. It's a bunch of y'all.
the
And
reason?
I don't know the reasons, but he sent me a bunch of y'all. And I'm
It's a
sitting back
reason.
thinking, okay.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
was downstairs in the kitchen today, and it just hit me again. Like he sent me a bunch of women around the same age, pretty much all in ministry.
Hmm.
And I was like, huh. People talking about looking for your avatar. I'm like, they all found me. I was
Yeah,
looking for nobody. They all
yeah.
found me.
Your light shines. Your light shines. And I'm going to say two things. It's almost like when you have something so precious, you guard it,
Yeah.
right? You have something so precious. So if I had a diamond as big as my fist, I would buy a safe.
Hmm.
So it's in the safe. Then I would take the safe and put it in the closet. So the diamond is in the safe in the closet, right? And the closet is in the house. And then my house has locks on it and then an alarm. And that's what you are. You're that gifted, that very, very valuable thing that I believe this, that God has surrounded you with all this people to protect, to guard you, and to keep your gifting safe and pure, and to keep you prayed up so that you will remain humble, and you're very
Yeah.
giving, freely giving of your gift. And the more you give, the more he gives you. So that's how come
Yeah.
you can become so profitable and so fruitful. Our lives are supposed to bear fruit, and you bear so much fruit. There's fruit, I believe, out here that you bear, that what came from your seed that you don't know about. You can count the
Yeah.
number of seeds in an apple, but you can't count the number of apples that came from the seed. You
Mm.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're that seed that God is protecting, and you're very fruitful. And so that's why I believe he surrounded you with these people, these women of God, these ministers of the gospel who will protect the valuable person of Audrey Bell Kearney, right? The other thing I wanted to say is I love your mother's compliment, because women tend to compliment other women on the way we look. Rarely do we compliment each other on the way we think. Oh, you
Yeah.
look so good. Oh, your hair looks so. Oh, I love your shoes. I love your purse. Oh, that's nice jewelry. We rarely compliment each other on what's in here,
Yeah.
right? And so I love that your mother said that, and that stays with you. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing from a woman to another
Yeah.
woman.
Yeah, mama, you would have liked my mom. She was no nonsense. She kept it REAL.
Hey.
She was 5 foot spitball. Like she didn't play any games. She just did. Um, and she was my rock, and she used to always say, "You're my rock." I'm like, "No, you're my rock." But
Mm.
she was a wonderful person. I miss her every day. Um, what do you want people to know about what you're doing?
I want people to know that there's a place that you can come, a safe place, a structured place, a loving place where you can come and learn how to study the Bible for yourself so that you can gain understanding, that you can be with like minded people and people who are uniquely themselves and still embrace you. And you go to my website, you go to www.cwitn.us. That's our women's Bible study group. We teach you how to search and mine through scriptures for yourself. So when you're on the beach and when you're somewhere, you can read the Bible for yourself or not have a Bible, but you can still see God in the real things from what you've read from the book. That's what I want people to know.
Listen, give them that website one more time. Listen, we're on a new platform. Normally, I would have it scrolling and popping up on the screen, but not the platform I'm on right now. So let me get the website again.
You can go to www.cwitn.us, and it's for Christian Women in Training Network. We're a network of women just growing and pushing each other and holding each other accountable.
Accountability is important. You heard her say it. She said her publisher holds her accountable. Listen, if you're thinking about starting a book, writing a book, if you've written a book and you did, I need to get it out. You need to get it out. The world
Yeah.
is waiting to hear your message. You're holding them up.
Mm.
Let me let me say that again. The world is waiting on you, and you're holding them up by sitting on your word, by sitting on that message. You're holding them up. So go ahead. It's a lot of resources and tools. When I tell you more than you can even imagine, a lot
Mhm.
of resources and tools out there right now to make sure your message get out. But you have to be ready and willing to do that. And the world is waiting on you. If he gave you the idea to write the book, he did
Yeah,
that for a reason.
yeah.
I'm just saying.
I love
Dr.
your tagline, turning pages into profit. I love that.
Thank you. Listen, I'll
Yeah.
be up. That's me on Sunday. I have the most clarity on Sunday. I have no idea why. Always been like that. Sunday clears a bell. Like all kinds of I'm just quiet and things just and I wake up and I'm like, yeah, that's good. Out my
Wow.
sleep. Out my sleep, Dr. Chin. I have no idea why. Always been like that. But listen, thank you so much for being my guest. Thank you again, everybody on Amazon. We appreciate your support. Be sure to share this episode with a friend if you liked it. Come back in 2 weeks or next week. I'll probably have another guest. If I don't have a guest, I'll be on here talking about the whole process because it is a process.
Mhm,
Amazon is one platform, but trust me when I
mhm.
tell you, there are 100 more. And there's so many ways. Dr. Chen, one last
Yes.
question. Are you
Yes.
gonna are you gonna translate the book into other languages?
I never thought about it. I've never thought.
Mm.
Oh, so you and I gonna have to talk.
Because
You show
mine is
me
gonna
what
be in
that
a whole
looks
bunch of
like?
different languages.
Really?
Got to keep the sales going. We got to get the message to everybody. Everybody don't speak
Yes.
English.
I love it. I'm up for the challenge. That's an
So
invitation.
yes. So listen, this book is coming out, and when is your expected release of the new book?
March of 2025.
Okay. March 2025, the new book will be out. In the meantime, going over to Amazon and purchase So You Want to Be Anointed. You can get that one, get a good read on who she is, and wait for the next one. And then the next one's gonna come out then the new one gonna come out in another language. Hey, the other ones may be out in some other languages. Never know. Mess
Mm,
around with me, it might be, never know.
I love it.
Listen,
I
thank you
love
guys for joining us. I'll be back with another great guest or some more great information. You guys make it stay safe out there. Have a wonderful day. And until next time, make it a great day. Bye, everybody. Thank you,
it.
Dr. Chen.
Thank you so much, my friend Audrey. I